The fires of hell are frozen glaciers compared to my hatred for the American government. That's a quote from Joe Vogler, somebody who you guys probably already know I talk about quite often, and I'm working on a bunch of content on. I feel the need to talk about him in the context of this because of that quote in particular. It's a fiery quote, and it was meant to be one. Recently, Jeremy Kauffman, someone who I had on my podcast just recently, got in a bit of trouble. I shouldn't even say he got into trouble, rather, he got into some media scrutiny, we'll say. He's good at that. It happens quite often with Jeremy, and I don't think that's not on purpose. I think he knows in some way what he's doing, and I think he's very good at it. I don't view it as a bad thing or good thing when the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire gets press because of a tweet they put out. Frankly, I think anybody who gets mad about that stuff is misguided in their anger. The reality of the situation is that stuff plays very little into real-world politics. And yes, sure, you're going to at some point say, well, they said this horrible thing, and because of it, I'm not going to associate with them. And you can make the claim that's because of a tweet, but the reality is anybody who's doing that would have found another reason. If not a tweet, then an opinion or a political principle that's being held. So the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire starts getting heat for a tweet they put out, and I believe have since removed. Everybody's getting mad about this tweet, and then all of a sudden I see a video from Jeremy Kauffman of supposedly who I believe are federal agents coming to talk to him. Now, Jeremy Kauffman handles this in the most Jeremy Kauffman way possible, and perfectly, I might add. I'm going to actually play this video. I know I'm sort of stealing other people's content, and I hate that, but I have a feeling Jeremy'd be okay with it, and frankly, I think the video hit something like 35 million views on his Twitter last time I checked, or X account, so I don't think I'm going to be stealing many views from him, so I'm going to go ahead and play that for you here.
Hey, how can I help you? Yeah.
How are you?
Who are you?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Can you give your full name, please?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Is that sufficient to identify as the only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI?
In New Hampshire, yes.
Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
No. It's First Amendment right.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Could you stop recording, please?
Absolutely not. You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house.
Okay.
I don't really want to broadcast my.
Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away.
So that's why I'm not going to.
So you can show me your name or ID, you can walk away.
We just want to talk to you.
I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
Okay, well, you see our badges.
I need to see... Is your full name on that badge?
No.
I'd like to see something with your full name, or I'm not going to talk to you.
I prefer you not to broadcast it.
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
Well, all I want to do is talk to you about a post that was made, and if you happen to be the one that made the post.
I want to talk to you about you guys coming here. Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures? Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like
So
you're familiar with.
We're
So then
not
why
make
would you
sure-
come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any. Other
No, you're
threats.
coming because you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken, and that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your
Thank you
jobs
for
and
your
go
time.
home?
We appreciate it.
You're walking away because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are fuckheads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards. Drive away. Drive away.
Thank you for your time, sir.
You're not welcome. You should be embarrassed. Embarrassing. You guys are embarrassing.
So, yeah, like I said, sort of a masterclass in how to handle these things. And it's sort of a dystopian look into what's happening right now in the world that we live in. Now, keep in mind, Jeremy Kauffman, or whoever sent that tweet out, said words. And I might add, said an opinion. This is the point that I think everybody seemed to lose in the response to the tweet. Everybody seemed to be getting all up in arms about the context of things, and so I saw a bunch of people who were even libertarians basically saying, well, the tweet is horrible, but the agent shouldn't be there. And the problem with that as an argument is that it's dumb. And anybody who's making that argument or brings up the tweet even to begin with as the first thing they say, I think should be not only disregarded as far as whether or not I would hold any of their other opinions to much high favor. But I also think those people should be disregarded from a libertarian perspective because they're playing snake-like games. When you play those games, you should win bad prizes. Really, all these people are doing is virtue signaling. It's no different than any of the other stuff that gets done by people on the left or right, really, now. This isn't anything new for LPNH. Their Twitter account has been a hotbed for takes that have gotten people stirred up and have gotten certainly a bunch of media attention. The crying coffin tweet comes to mind, or any of the stuff that has got them branded as anti-Semitic, as stupid as that may be. The reality of what just happened with Jeremy Kauffman is if we can assume that those agents were agents and they were there because of those tweets, then this is one of the most glaring dystopian things that have been done in the libertarian space for a very long time. Let's be clear. Again, the tweet was an opinion. No matter where you slice it, that's protected speech. And the problem with this becomes, from my perspective, that these agents wouldn't give their names, they wouldn't say, or at least didn't say, why they were there, and Jeremy has said now on Dave Smith's show, I believe was the one he was on, he said that he didn't have any more information than that, so it's clear to me that they didn't say why they were there. So we have to just assume, and I think it's a great assumption to go on considering the timing of everything. But that being said, I think it's telling that these people didn't say why they were there. I think it's telling why they didn't give out their names, or why they didn't make it more of a show. It's because they knew bad media was coming their way from this that they made it a big deal. But at the same time, they knew that the mainstream wouldn't be the one picking up those stories. It would be the fringe media who would cover it. And so really all this was a trade-off. They decided the bit of media scrutiny they would get from the small players that would cover the story was nothing in comparison to the amount of intimidation they could deliver to Kauffman. That should scare everybody. I mean, not scare you like hide in your basement scare you, but it should certainly perk your ears up. It should get you paying attention to the things that are happening around you. Because let's be clear, we're watching people all across the world get locked up because of the things they've said. How long is it until you're next? How long is it until that opinion is considered to be enough? And will it be regular cops showing up at your door to pick you up, or will it be guys who won't give you your name or tell you what agency they're from, or where they came from. Because I have a feeling it's going to be the latter. I think the problem in politics today, and really has been since 2008 or so, is that everybody is just searching for normalcy. Really, I think a lot of this goes even further back to post 9/11. The introduction of the Patriot Act, the TSA, the constant wars going on in other countries that are now actually getting covered on the media, which before they were just sort of getting covered in the papers in places you had to go look for them. Now, it's hard to get away from Afghanistan, Iraq, Osama bin Laden, these characters that are being plastered everywhere. And so the American psyche got very much tied into that. Americans seem to need some kind of enemy to go after, and they don't really care what side it comes from. As long as the government keeps handing them an enemy, they're going to keep throwing shade on both sides of the political spectrum, fanning the flames and making the whole thing worse in the long run. Here you have two guys who have nothing better to do than go and intimidate and bother people on behalf of the Biden-Harris White House. It's despicable, it's not unexpected, but it's right there in front of everybody, and you can't make excuses about it, and everybody should be very clear about what that was. It was intimidation. You know, recently, Tim Pool was in the media because of Lauren Chen or some person who was connected to some Russian business and got everybody stirred up. But Tim said something on Twitter that caught my attention, which was that he was going to be cooperating and talking with the feds. And when I read the tweet, I just sort of chuckled. I didn't respond to it. I don't really respond to much stuff on X these days. I just sort of read it and chuckle. But in this case, I really did get a laugh out of it, and especially now, because we see sort of the two different kind of reactions that you see when the feds come knocking at your door. Now, maybe they tell you you're a victim, but regardless, do you sit down and have coffee with them, break bread, and spill any details or incriminating speech on your friends or people you're connected to or yourself? Or do you tell them to stick it? Do you berate them? Do you tell them that what they're doing to the U.S. Constitution is sick? I'd probably go for the latter. I commend people like Jeremy for having the gall and the nuts on them to actually do things like this, because I don't think every libertarian, or regardless, I don't think even 10% of the population would actually be willing to do what Jeremy Kauffman just did. He deserves the accolades he'll get for it, and he deserves the views on X, I might add. So, thought I would just talk about this whole debacle just a little bit. Not great audio, I'm just sort of pacing back and forth here, so you guys will have to deal with that, but yeah, peace.